This is the data. It brings you closer to the action, closer to the adrenaline. It connects you with other fans, makes you feel part of the crowd. It reveals new perspectives, unlocks hidden insights wherever you are. This is the data. Data is a game changer.
Yesterday, Simona Halep, along with Petra Kvitova, Victoria Azarenka, Flavia Pennetta, Roger Federer, Stan Wawrinka, Richard Gasquet, and big Kevin Anderson all survived the round of 16. Today, we transition to the quarterfinals. On the women's side, we'll have the Williams sisters showdown as Venus presents a potential roadblock on Serena's march to the calendar year Grand Slam. We'll also have a matchup of unseeded players. Christina Mladenovic will meet the Italian Roberta Vinci. For the men, top seed Novak Djokovic, the 2011 champion, will square off with the number 18 seed Feliciano Lopez. And defending champion Marin Cilic, the 9th seed, will meet 19th seed Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. It's day 9 of the U.S. Open, and this is Inside the Baseline, presented by IBM. Well, it could be the hottest day of the tournament today, as temperatures could get into the mid-90s, depending on how things play out today. It is day 9 of the U.S. Open, spots in the semifinals on the line. Hello, everyone. Sam Gore, along with Renee Stubbs. And Renee, obviously, Venus and Serena are going to have to worry about the mid-90s because they're playing at 7 p.m. local time tonight. Give us your 2 cents on that.
Well, first of all, it will be a beautiful evening tonight because of the fact that it is so hot today. But, you know, we're seeing the greatest rivalry in sports play out tonight as far as sibling rivalries are concerned. Obviously, Serena having so many more Grand Slam victories than Venus, but truly the most remarkable sibling sports story in sports history, what we're going to see tonight. Clearly, everybody knows the story that Serena Williams is going for the calendar year Grand Slam. She couldn't have done that without doing it at Wimbledon, and she also had to beat Venus there at Wimbledon, so it was a nightmare matchup for her at Wimbledon. She's going to have to do it again here at the US Open. And nobody talks about the fact at 35 years of age that Venus Williams is in another quarterfinal of the US Open. And it's little sister that's going to take that opportunity possibly away from her for winning her 8th Grand Slam. So there's so many great storylines. Obviously, the biggest one is Serena.
Well, we got a lot of time before we get to that match tonight at 7 on ESPN if you can't be here. But let's go back to yesterday and take a look at some of the men's highlights. Last night, Roger Federer in action against John Isner.
Well, truly, is he the greatest player of all time? I tell you what he is. He's the greatest player to watch of all time. Just every shot that he possesses in the book we saw displayed last night. John Isner threw everything but the kitchen sink at him. It was amazing how many times you thought that Roger was out of the point. He got into the point. John was throwing the big serves. A 7-0 first set tiebreak is unheard of against someone like John Isner. But again, Sam, it was just on the biggest of points, Roger came through in the tiebreak against Isner last night.
Isner only dropped his serve 1 time in this match.
And isn't it the first time in like 3 years or something that he's lost serve here at the US Open? I mean, look at this shot. And he lost the point. I mean, John had to come up with stuff like that just to win points, and eventually, in the end, just a little bit too much. And this was the break of serve and the match. Look how excited Roger was in getting that job done quickly in that game rather than go to a tiebreak.
Well, to me, it's the most entertaining straight set match we've had here at the U.S. Open this year on the men's side. And Federer moving on. Gasquet and Berdych. Gasquet seeded 12, Berdych number 6, and Berdych had the upper hand early, but Gasquet came storming back.
Well, Berdych is so unbelievably good when he's on, but when he's off, that fighting spirit, sometimes you just wonder where it is. And on the other hand, Richard Gasquet over the last couple of years is starting to show everybody that he's all not just about a beautiful backhand. He has such a great fighting spirit now about him. And as he gets older, I think that he's really appreciating these moments. Well-deserved victory after a long day for these two boys last night.
Yeah, they had to wait a long time on the Anderson-Murray match, which, speaking of those guys, that produced one of the big dramatic moments. This match with Gasquet took place after the Kevin Anderson-Andy Murray match. Kevin Anderson seems to be one of those guys that gets to the round of 16, just can't break through to the quarters. Who would have thought Andy Murray would have been the guy he'd beat?
Well, and Andy Murray has such a great record against Kevin Anderson because he's so good with people coming in. He loves the target. But I tell you what, yesterday we saw a new Kevin Anderson. Look at this forehand. It was, I am going to win this match. I'm going to take it because I know that Andy Murray is not going to give it to me and give me errors. Andy showed his fighting qualities. Was he going to come back from 2 sets to love down again? And the crowd out there on Armstrong was absolutely electric to try and get Andy Murray to go the distance in this match. He was able to claw back and win the third set in a tiebreak, and it was quite dramatic when he did it. And you thought that things were going to start to turn. Anderson started to show some sign of cramping, but shots like this, Sam, immediately you thought Kevin Anderson, again, is going to win this match. He's not going to give it away.
He had such a dominant performance in that tiebreak. And Kevin Anderson finally breaking through to his first quarterfinal here at the U.S. Open. His first major quarterfinal, and Andy Murray, the former champion here, heading back to Great Britain. Stan Wawrinka, the French Open champ, against Donald Young. Everyone anticipating Donald Young perhaps producing another comeback, but it wasn't to be.
Well, Wawrinka just came out onto the stadium court yesterday on Arthur Ashe and really took it to Donald Young early. You would think that Donald Young has to think he doesn't have a lot in the tank over the last week, but he showed tremendous fighting spirit to get back into that match, even it up at a set all. But Wawrinka was just a little bit too experienced and hit shots. Watch this. The most beautiful backhand in the game. Maybe tied with Gasquet, but for me, Wawrinka's backhand is just a thing of beauty. He has so much power, and people are forgetting about Stan Wawrinka and winning this tournament and what he can do. He possesses so much power, and he knows how to win the big matches.
Well, it was really the best match Wawrinka has played, even though he lost a set for the first time. It was overall his best effort. So Wawrinka moving on through. And I got to ask you, Renee, the draw has set up really nicely for Roger Federer, but look at last year. You know, it looked like Federer and Djokovic were going to be in the final. It didn't happen. What are your thoughts on the draw?
I think that's a great point, Sam. I think that if there was the one time that Roger was going to win another Grand Slam, it was here, and it was last year, but he was also taken out by an inspired Marin Cilic. And could the same thing happen again this year? I think Roger's playing better than he did last year coming in here. He hasn't exuded any energy. He played fantastic last night. It certainly helps that big hitters like Burdick are out of the tournament who have, you know, they've hurt Roger in the past. Andy's so difficult to beat. But for me, Stan Wawrinka is the guy that we should be talking about because Wawrinka's won 2 Grand Slams and he's so good, and he absolutely hit Roger off the court last time they played against each other in a slam. So I think that Stan Wawrinka is the one to watch down that end, maybe even more than Roger Federer. But wouldn't it be great to see Roger through to another final here? It's been a while.
Yeah, it would. Let's transition over to the women. Some good matches yesterday as well. Let's begin with Simona Halep and Sabine Lisicki. This produced a lot of drama.
Well, it was always going to be an interesting matchup because of the fact that Lisicki is such a big hitter of the ball, and Halep is that classic sort of little bunny rabbit around the baseline, getting one more ball back. But to credit Lisicki, after a long match the other day, she came out firing, and you wondered if Simona Halep was going to last through this match. You see the heavy bandage on the left leg. She was struggling, and if she does not have her movement, how dangerous can she be? But I tell you what, overall, she showed a heart of a lion yesterday in getting through this match. The crowd were right behind her in the third set, and she produced some stunning backhands to win this match.
Halep, the number 2 seed at this year's U.S. Open, still moving on. She did pull out of the mixed doubles after that, and saving herself now strictly for singles. Azarenka and Lepchenko, this led things off in Ashe yesterday.
Well, again, back-to-back matches with a lefty for Azarenka. This one a little different. Lepchenko possesses a little more power than Kerber with a little more spin. But overall, Victoria Azarenka has shown a lot of maturity in the last couple of matches, has not got frustrated with herself, has produced some beautiful tennis, and she is without question the player that everyone's starting to think, will she be or could she be the one to stop the calendar year Grand Slam? She's certainly beaten Serena in the past before, and she's so good on hard court and showed it again yesterday.
So another straight set win for Victoria Azarenka to move on to the quarterfinals as well. Continuing our women's scene, Petra Kvitova last night against Johanna Konta. This was taking place during the Murray-Gasquet match, so a lot of people weren't aware what was going on here.
Well, I tell you what was aware was that Johanna Konta was not overawed by the big occasion of walking out on the centre court. She's come through qualifying. I think she's won 16 singles matches in a row, certainly a lot of those coming at ITF events before coming into the US Open, qualified, and really gave Petra Kvitova everything she could handle last night. Kvitova has never gone this far in the US Open, so it's nice to see one of the truly great champions get through another round. Can she be one of the people to beat Serena? She's only one of two players to beat Serena this year, and you see the excitement on her face to get through that match last night.
So Kvitova moving on to the quarterfinals here at the US Open, having her best US Open so far. And one more match to talk about. Flavia Pennetta is just a really tough matchup for Sam Stosur.
Just a nightmare, Sam. Flavia Pennetta has grown up over the last decade playing against a lot of guys in Spain on clay that like to hit the ball with clay. She talked about it after the match, how, why is the matchup favor you so much? It's because Flavia Pennetta's backhand is so superior to Stosur's. She likes to attack, but she also is so used to the spin coming off of the racket of players because she hits with a lot of men in Europe. And that was an interesting comment she made. But just the variety she possesses, and the head-to-head was 6-0 before the match yesterday, and you could just tell in Stosur's face that she just doesn't know how to beat Flavia Pennetta.
Now Pennetta moving on to the quarterfinals at the US Open. She always seems to bring out her best here in New York. So after a dramatic day 8, we're now heading into what we hope will be, we know it's going to be a dramatic day 9 with Venus and Serena playing a little bit later. The women's quarterfinals are now set at the US Open. And here's our IBM Game Changers question of the day. What stat tells you the most about a player's game today?
If you've got great serving stats, great returning stats, you'll get a good indication of what kind of player he is. Look at John Isner, you know, with the epic match with Nicholas Mahut. There is a reason both those players ended up in an epic 3-day battle.
The number of unforced errors needs to be low.
Second serve returns.
Unforced errors.
First serve percentage. You know, on hard courts, that's such a big part of the game on hard courts, and if you can get that first serve in, you're going to win.
How you do at 15-30. If you look at big-time players, when they get down, like Federer, Djokovic, Serena Williams, 15-30 in a game, any game, first game, set point, last game, it doesn't matter. But 15-30 is that swing point. Everyone looks at like match point, set point, but it's at 15-30 when you're down, and it can be 15-40 or 30 all. Usually those big-time players come up with big-time shots.
So what do you think? Let us know on Twitter at #GameChangersIBM. And also weigh in on tomorrow's question. Should players be going to net more, or should they be playing from the back court? Yeah, I hope you'll help us by answering that question. But Renee, let's jump right. You always want everybody to go to the net. True Aussie. Let's get right into the men's preview, though, because the matches are about to begin shortly. We've got Tsonga and Cilic after the women's match today.
Well, for me, that's an interesting matchup because both possess such power, big serving. They can do well at Grand Slams. Obviously, Cilic has done a fabulous job in trying to recreate what he did last year and defend the title. He's so good on this court, but also Tsonga's not going to give him a lot of rhythm. It's going to be a serving battle. Who's going to have the higher percentage of first serve? Who will take advantage of the 1 or 2 break points that they get, because there will not be a lot of break points because they both serve so big. I have to give the edge to Cilic because of his record here last year, and when he's on, he is so good, and Tsonga's second serve at times can sit up there, so I think Cilic will try and take advantage of that.
Well, tonight Djokovic will play Lopez. That could be an interesting matchup.
Well, Djokovic is so good anywhere, anytime. His ability to be able to get the ball back into the court. And I was asked a question the other night, what makes him so good? I said, just everything. He's so flexible. He gets every ball back. He's going to frustrate Lopez by making him play a lot of volleys on his shoestrings, and nobody passes and nobody runs down more balls than Novak Djokovic. So I think a very heavily favored Novak Djokovic tonight.
Well, and then, of course, tonight we have Venus and Serena. How do you think those two will handle this mentally, this moment?
You know, I spoke to their sister the other day when they both had won through. We were having a nice conversation, and she said, you know, Renee, it's just really uncomfortable. And I think that's the best way to put it. They both want to win so desperately. They're both two of our great champions. Serena is trying to do what she's trying to do, win a calendar Grand Slam again, though. Venus at 35. Is this her last shot at winning a Grand Slam? It's just uncomfortable. I think they will do everything they can to try and win the match. I don't think it's going to be an easy situation. I know it's not going to be an easy situation. Fans at home, just sit back and enjoy two of the greatest players we've ever seen, and certainly the best sibling rivalry we've ever seen in sports.
For in-depth data and analysis, this is IBM Insights. Serena leads their head-to-head 15-11, having won 6 of their last 7 matches. Both players have big first serves, but Serena is a bit more solid and consistent from the baseline, and that's proven to be the difference in their most recent meetings. Venus is very good at the net, but it's difficult for her to get there when facing Serena's power. With Serena on the doorstep of history, it'll be interesting to see how older sister Venus approaches this match. So let's jump right back into the next quarterfinal, because we have that one coming up in just a moment. Mladenovic and Vinci, I don't think anyone would have ever filled their names out in their draw before the tournament, but because of some upsets and the way they've been solid, here they are.
Well, Roberta Vinci is she's just that player that can get around the court with such different variety, serve and volley, chip, come into the net, drop shots. She has a beautiful serve and volley game and a doubles game she's done so well in the past. Mladenovic loves a target, though, so I think for Mladenovic it's all about, can she handle the occasion? And this is the biggest occasion for her. Roberta Vinci is a multiple Grand Slam champion in doubles. She's been in these moments before in singles. But the power of Mladenovic, can she control it? Can she get the ball by Vinci at the net and handle the slice from Vinci? It'll be an interesting matchup. I think it might go down to the wire.
And again, that match is coming up first in Ash Stadium in just a few moments. It's time now for our IBM Game Changers feature. Today we're going to look a little closer at what the numbers say and how Roger Federer has been so successful at this year's U.S. Open.
I'm here with Elizabeth O'Brien of IBM, and you've been crunching some of the numbers of some of the top men players. What have you found so far that's interesting?
Well, we've looked at Roger Federer, and he's really come into this tournament very strong and done very well. To begin, his return stats are looking terrific. He's playing efficiently. He hit a milestone here. He hit his 1900th career winner in the past 10 years at the U.S. Open. He's doing well. The question is, can he keep it up?
Well, what's funny is he's 34 years old, so that's the problem, and I think that's why he's staying out on the court so shortly, playing ultra aggressively, but somehow still not making too many errors. He's a whole new style of play with this running in on second serve and not just chipping the return. We have seen that before, by the way, a chip and charge. He's now ripping and charging. First of all, you got to be pretty talented to be able to do that. Can he keep it up? That is the question, because when you feel a little more pressure, will he still be so loose with the hands to be able to time those second serve returns? We'll see.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy. Renee, final thoughts? We're about to get this day started.
I'm just looking forward to another terrific day here at the US Open, to be honest with you. Obviously, the big match tonight with Venus and Serena, all eyes on, as I said, two of the greatest sisterhoods we've seen in tennis. But before that even starts, we've got a lot of tennis today. But just a thought on what Jimmy said. Will he be loose, Roger? He's always loose. I mean, if all of us as tennis players could have the same ability as Roger Federer, it'd be a really nice day.
We'll see Roger tomorrow, but tonight, Venus and Serena in a few moments. We'll have Mladenovic and Vinci. Full day of action coming your way, and we invite you to participate in our coverage by using the hashtag InsideBaseline when you tweet or go on Instagram about this event. You've been watching Inside the Baseline, presented by IBM.